The little boy tugged at the millionaire's coat and whispered something that made the man freeze. Millionaire sees a black beggar with 3 children and recognizes her. The boy said, barely audible. The man's heart slammed against his chest. His mouth dropped open. His knees buckled slightly. Then he ran. He dropped the shopping bags he was holding, ignored the ringing of his expensive phone, and ran across the street, dodging cars that honked angrily. People watched, stunned as this man, one of the richest in the city, knelt down on the dirty pavement in front of a black woman sitting with 3 small children beside a trash can. The woman had her face turned away, her clothes torn and soaked from the rain. She didn't look up, but he knew. His lips trembled. "Is it really you, Clara?" he asked, his voice cracking. The woman flinched, slowly raising her head. And what he did next shocked everyone watching. He bent down and began to cry. Just 2 months ago, the millionaire had never believed in fate. His name was Jordan Miller, and he had everything: fancy cars, big houses, companies that made more money than he could count. He was known all over the city as the man who turned dirt into gold. But deep inside, Jordan was restless. Something always felt missing. On one cold October morning, Jordan sat in his sleek black Rolls Royce, sipping hot coffee and scrolling through emails. The driver pulled up beside a row of old buildings downtown. It was an area Jordan hardly ever came to anymore, not since the day the past had closed its doors on him. He looked out of the window. Rain fell in steady lines. Homeless people huddled under plastic sheets. A little boy about 7 years old walked past his car with a small paper cup, asking people for coins. Jordan was about to look away when the boy suddenly stopped and looked straight at him. Their eyes met. The boy didn't smile. He didn't move. Jordan frowned. There was something familiar about the kid's eyes. The boy walked up to the car window and tapped gently. Jordan sighed and lowered the glass just an inch. Before he could say anything, the boy whispered something that sent a chill down Jordan's back. Millionaire sees a black beggar with 3 children and recognizes her. Jordan blinked. "What did you say?" The boy smiled faintly and pointed down the street. "She's sitting over there." Then he walked away. At first, Jordan thought it was a prank. He looked around. Nobody seemed to be watching him. Still, his curiosity burned. Something about the boy's words about his eyes made Jordan get out of the car. He walked slowly down the street, past broken benches and overflowing bins, until he saw them. A woman and 3 kids sitting under an old store awning, trying to stay dry. The woman had a scarf over her head, hiding her face. One child sat her lap. The other 2 huddled beside her, their clothes wet and muddy. Jordan stared. His heart began to beat faster. No, it couldn't be. He moved closer. The scarf shifted slightly as the woman rocked the child in her lap. Jordan's breath caught in his throat. The shape of her face, the way she held her child. It was her, Clara. He hadn't seen Clara in over 10 years. Once, long ago, she had been everything to him. Back then, Jordan wasn't rich. He worked at a mechanic's shop and lived in a tiny room above a noisy diner. Clara lived just down the hall. She was always smiling, always helping. She worked at the local library and loved reading books to kids in the neighborhood. Jordan had fallen for her the moment she handed him a cup of coffee on his first day at the building. They were inseparable. They talked for hours at night. He would fix her old heater, and she would bring him warm meals when he worked late. When he lost his job once, she helped pay his rent. He promised her that one day, when he became successful, he'd give her everything she ever dreamed of. But dreams sometimes get lost. When Jordan's small startup finally took off, investors came in, and money started rolling. He got busier, traveling, closing deals, chasing goals. He didn't even realize when weeks turned into months. Clara kept calling. He kept missing her. He kept promising soon. Then one day she was gone. The building manager said she had moved out suddenly. No one knew where. Her number stopped working. Jordan searched for her, even hired someone to look, but nothing came up. After a while, he told himself she had probably found someone better. Maybe she got tired of waiting. Maybe she didn't care anymore. So he buried her memory and built his empire. But now, here she was, sitting in the rain, begging, with 3 children. His voice broke as he knelt in front of her. "Clara, is it really you?" Slowly, the woman raised her head. Jordan gasped. It was Clara, but not the Clara he remembered. Her eyes were tired. Her cheeks were thin. Her lips trembled, not from the cold, but from something deeper, pain. He reached out his hand, but she flinched. "Don't," she said softly. "Please don't. Clara, what happened? Where did you go? Why didn't you tell me?" She looked at the children beside her. "I did," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "I tried." One of the children, a small girl with big curls, looked up at Jordan. "Are you the man from the picture?" she asked. Jordan blinked, confused. "What picture?" Clara didn't answer. And then she fainted. Jordan caught her before she hit the ground. People on the street gasped. One man called for help. The children cried. Jordan held her tightly in his arms. His designer coat soaked through with rain and dirt, but he didn't care. All he could think was, how did it come to this? Later, inside a small clinic nearby, a doctor gave Jordan a quiet nod. She's exhausted, malnourished, probably hasn't eaten properly in days. She needs rest, and food, and clean clothes. All of them do. Jordan sat beside her hospital bed, holding one of her hands. The children slept on a nearby bench, wrapped in blankets Jordan had hurriedly bought. The little boy from earlier, the one who whispered, was gone. Vanished. No one had seen where he went. Jordan watched Clara sleep. 1,000 questions screamed inside his head, but one was louder than the rest. Were the children his? He leaned back in a chair, running a hand through his hair. The room was silent. Then, just as Jordan closed his eyes for a moment, Clara's hand twitched, and she whispered, barely audible, "You left me." Jordan's eyes shot open. Before he could speak, the door burst open. A man in a black hoodie stormed in, panting. He looked at the children, then at Clara, then at Jordan. And in that second, Jordan knew something was very, very wrong. The man in the black hoodie slammed the door shut behind him. Jordan stood up instantly, placing himself between Clara and the stranger. His instincts, sharpened by years of business meetings and boardroom battles, were now screaming something different: danger. The man's face was shadowed under the hoodie, but Jordan could see his chest rising and falling rapidly. His hands were clenched, and he kept glancing at the children on the bench. "What do you want?" Jordan asked, his voice low but firm. The man didn't answer right away. He took a step forward. Jordan's eyes darted to the nurse call button on the wall. It was out of reach. The man suddenly growled, "I came for them." Jordan's heart stopped. "Them." The man pointed at the children. "They're mine." A beat of silence. Clara stirred on the bed and moaned, "No, not him." Jordan didn't wait. He stepped forward, his voice rising. "You need to leave. Right now. This is a hospital." The man sneered. "You think I care? She ran away with my kids. I've been looking for her for months." Jordan's fists clenched. "Ran away? From you?" The man took another step forward. "Who even are you, rich guy?" Her new man. Clara's eyes fluttered open. When she saw him, her whole body stiffened. "No," she cried out. "Don't let him take them." The man started moving toward the bench. Jordan blocked him. "If you take another step," Jordan said, "I'll break your jaw." The man raised a fist. Before it could come down, the door burst open again. 2 security guards tackled the stranger to the ground. A nurse behind them shouted for order. It was chaos for a few seconds. Fists flying, a child crying, alarms blaring. When it was over, the man was handcuffed and being dragged out by hospital security. One of the guards had a bloody nose. Jordan's heart still pounded as he turned to Clara, who was now sitting up, her face pale, her hands shaking. The children huddled around her, frightened. "Is he really their father?" Jordan asked gently. Clara nodded slowly. "But not by choice," she whispered. "I was forced to marry him after you disappeared. He wasn't always violent, but then he changed. I had to get away. I had to protect them." Jordan sat down again, stunned. He had so many questions, but all he could manage was, "Why didn't you tell me?" "I tried," she whispered. "I wrote letters. I left voicemails. But he deleted them. He blocked my number from your phone. He told me you had moved on." Jordan swallowed hard. His chest felt like it was being crushed. "Clara, I never stopped looking. I thought you left me." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She tried to speak, but her lips just trembled. "I was pregnant," she finally said, "when you left." Jordan's breath caught in his throat. He looked over at the children. 3 little faces staring back. Clara nodded. The youngest, she's yours. Later that evening, as the sun began to set behind gray clouds, Jordan stood outside the clinic under a street lamp, trying to make sense of it all. His phone buzzed. It was his assistant. Sir, your meeting with the Dubai investors starts in 15 minutes. We've got them on standby. Jordan looked up at the hospital window. I'm canceling. Canceling, sir. I said cancel it. He hung up. He had missed too much already. He wasn't going to miss this. Inside, Clara was feeding the children, and Jordan brought in warm meals from a nearby cafe. For the first time in weeks, the children ate until their stomachs were full. The oldest one, a boy named Ezra, didn't talk much, but his eyes followed Jordan closely, filled with curiosity and caution. The middle child, Maya, was louder. She laughed when Jordan tried to open a juice box the wrong way and spilled it on himself. She told him he smelled like money and pancakes. The youngest, Ava, barely left Clara's side. But once, when Jordan smiled at her and held out his hand, she waddled over and placed her tiny fingers in his. She does that when she feels safe, Clara said quietly. Jordan's throat tightened. He didn't say anything. He just held Ava a little longer. That night, Jordan booked them a room at a 5-star hotel across town. Clara didn't want to go at first. She was scared of being found again. But the hospital staff had already promised to report the man to the police. A restraining order was in the works. I won't let him near you again, Jordan told her. I've heard that before, she replied softly. I mean it. The drive to the hotel was quiet. The children fell asleep in the back seat, and Clara kept looking out the window, her face unreadable. At the hotel, Jordan arranged 2 suites, one for the kids and Clara, one for himself. He made sure they had clothes, food, everything. Then, before leaving them for the night, he knelt down beside Ava's crib and kissed her forehead. Clara watched him. I don't know how this happened, she said, but I never thought I'd see you again. Jordan stood. Neither did I. She hesitated. Do you want to know her? Jordan didn't answer right away. He just nodded, eyes glistening. I already do. The next morning, Jordan was on the phone in his suite, making arrangements. He called lawyers, child welfare agents, even a therapist he trusted. He wasn't going to let Clara fall through the cracks again. But then his phone rang. It was the hotel front desk. Mr. Miller, we have a situation. Jordan froze. What kind of situation? There's someone here claiming to be the father of the children. He has documents. He's demanding to see them. He's with police. Jordan's blood went cold. I'll be right there. When Jordan got to the lobby, the man in the hoodie was standing between 2 uniformed officers, holding a thick folder. The moment he saw Jordan, he smirked. You thought you could hide her forever? The officer turned to Jordan. Mr. Miller, this man says he's legally married to the woman in your suite, and that the children were taken from him. He abused her, Jordan said firmly. She ran to protect the kids. The man slammed the folder on the counter. Then where's the proof? Huh? Where's the restraining order? Where's the police report? The officer looked at Jordan. Without official documents, there's nothing we can do right now. He has custody papers. If the woman refuses to talk to us, we'll be forced to take the kids in for now until court decides. Jordan's heart dropped. No, you can't do that. But it was too late. The man smiled wider. The officers moved toward the elevator. And upstairs, Clara opened the door to find her past standing right there, ready to take her children. No, Clara whispered, her voice cracking as her body froze in the doorway. The man in the hoodie stood behind the police officers, his smile wide and evil like a wolf that had finally found its prey. One officer raised a hand in calm warning. Ma'am, he said gently, we're not here to harm you. We just need to talk. Clara pulled Ava close to her chest. Her other 2 children, Ezra and Maya, peeked out from behind the couch, sensing the tension. I don't want him near my children, she said, her voice rising. The officer nodded. We understand. But right now, the man behind us is in possession of legal custody documents. We can't ignore them. I left because he used to beat me. Clara cried. I have bruises. My daughter has seen him scream and break things. We ran away for a reason. The younger officer looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, Unless there's a restraining order or a police report already filed, we can't. She's lying. The man interrupted, taking a bold step forward. Jordan, who had just arrived at the suite behind the officers, shot forward and pushed the man back hard. Touch this door again, he growled, and I swear I'll make sure your face is plastered on every news channel in this country. The officers separated them. Clara, shaking, turned and ran to grab her bag and the children's things. We're leaving, she said quickly, almost whispering to herself. We're not staying another second. The older officer raised a hand. Ma'am, if you attempt to leave without a clear resolution, we may be forced to involve child services. It could go badly. Jordan stepped in. No, he said. You want documents? You'll have them. You want statements? She'll give them. But you're not taking these kids. Not tonight. Not until a judge hears the full truth. The officers exchanged looks. Then one of them nodded. You've got 24 hours. After that, we'll be forced to intervene. That's the best I can do. They turned and escorted the man back to the elevator. The man didn't fight it. He just smiled again, that smug, terrible smile, and whispered something to Jordan as he passed. You can't erase me. She'll always be mine. Jordan didn't blink. We'll see. Hours later, Clara sat on the hotel bed, her fingers trembling as she poured warm tea into a paper cup. Jordan stood across the room, pacing. You need to file the report. We need official records, he said. Clara nodded. I will. I didn't think he'd find us so fast. How did he even know where you were? I don't know, she whispered. He always finds a way. Jordan sat beside her. We'll hire private security. I'll pay for the best. But we need to do this by the book. If the police think you're hiding or avoiding the law, it could backfire. Clara stared down into her tea. He told the neighbors we were going on a trip. He made it look like I kidnapped my own children. Jordan gently took her hand. We'll fix this. For the first time, she looked at him, her eyes soft and tired. Why are you doing this, Jordan? You don't owe me anything. He hesitated, then said, You gave me everything when I had nothing. You believed in me when no one else did. And Ava... He looked toward the child, sleeping peacefully. She's mine, and I wasn't there to protect her. Clara bit her lip. I didn't want to hurt you. I wanted to tell you. But by the time I found out, I thought you were gone. I thought you left me. Jordan sighed, remembering the voicemail he never received. The letter that might have been thrown out. The numbers that mysteriously stopped working. And that boy on the street, whispering the truth into his ear. I think someone, or something, wanted me to find you again, he said. Clara nodded slowly. Maybe. The next day was a whirlwind. Jordan's legal team sprang into action. Clara went to the police station and gave her full statement. Photographs of bruises, old hospital records, witness statements from a former neighbor, all of it compiled into a case file. Child Services reviewed the material within hours. The tide began to shift. By evening, Jordan received a call from a family court judge. An emergency hearing was scheduled for the following morning. It was a small victory, but a big one. The children, unaware of most of what was happening, watched cartoons in the hotel room. Jordan had hired a kind nanny to help them, just for a few hours, while he and Clara worked through paperwork and interviews. Late that night, Clara stood at the window of her hotel suite, looking out over the glowing city. Jordan walked in, carrying a small box. I found something, he said, from way back. She turned. He opened the box and pulled out an old, slightly worn necklace, a tiny silver heart pendant. I kept it all these years, he said. You gave it to me the night I promised I'd come back for you. Clara's eyes filled with tears. I thought it was lost forever. I did too, Jordan said. But I found it in a box while packing up my old apartment years ago. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. She reached out, and he gently placed it in her palm. It was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered, What if they still take them away? What if I lose them? You won't, Jordan said. Not while I'm here. He touched her shoulder gently. You're not alone anymore. The next morning, they arrived at the courthouse early. Clara was dressed in clean, neat clothes. Jordan wore a simple black suit, not flashy, but solid. Protective. Present. The children were not required to appear, but Jordan had arranged for a private family room in the courthouse, just in case. When the hearing began, Clara's hands were shaking, but Jordan held her hand, steady and warm. The judge listened carefully. The case was urgent, and emotions were high. Clara spoke clearly, bravely, describing the years of fear and hiding. Her voice cracked only once, when she mentioned Ava's birth. Jordan spoke next, offering full support. Financial, legal, emotional. Then the man in the hoodie took the stand. He lied, smirked, twisted the story. But the judge wasn't a fool, and Clara's evidence spoke louder than his words. After almost 2 hours, the judge leaned forward and looked over his glasses. "I'm granting full, temporary custody to the mother, Clara Roberts," he said, "with immediate protection orders against the claimant. This court recognizes the urgency of the situation and will reconvene in 3 weeks for a final custody ruling." Clara gasped. Jordan grinned and squeezed her hand. The man exploded in anger, shouting, "You'll regret this? You think you've won? You think this is over?" Security rushed to pull him out of the room. The judge banged the gavel. "One more word from you, sir, and I'll hold you in contempt." The man spat on the floor as he was dragged out, and as the doors shut behind him, Clara broke down in Jordan's arms. Later that evening, back at the hotel, the mood was calm and peaceful. The kids laughed and played. Clara sat beside Jordan, her head on his shoulder. "I don't know what comes next," she said softly. "Whatever it is," Jordan replied, "we face it together." But just as he said that, his phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. It read, "You think it's over, but I know your secrets too, Jordan. The past always comes back." Jordan's smile faded. He stared at the screen, heart beginning to race. Clara noticed the change in his face. "What is it?" she asked. Jordan turned the phone so she could see, and then he whispered, "I think we just opened a new door neither of us saw coming." The words on the screen felt like ice sliding down Jordan's spine. "You think it's over, but I know your secrets too, Jordan. The past always comes back." He didn't recognize the number. There was no name, no hint, just that message. Cold, sharp, personal. Clara read it twice. She looked up at him slowly. "What does it mean? Your secrets?" Jordan didn't answer at first. He stood up, walked across the room, and stared out the window into the city's night. Lights blinked below like stars fallen to the ground. Clara pressed, softly this time. "Jordan." He finally turned to face her. "There's something I never told you. Something from before I met you. Before I had money. Something I buried because I thought it was gone." Clara sat still, listening. Jordan took a breath. "When I was 19, I got into trouble. I didn't hurt anyone, but I was around people who did. I was broke, angry, tried to survive. I worked for a guy who ran street jobs. Small stuff at first. But then one day it went bad. A man got beat up badly. I wasn't part of it, but I was there." He paused. "The cops gave me a choice. Testify or go down with them. I talked. That put someone away for a long time. But before they were taken, he said something to me. He said, 'You're not done paying yet.'" Clara's eyes widened. "You think it's him?" "I don't know," Jordan said. "I thought he died in prison. I heard rumors. But if he's out, or with someone else who knows." He didn't finish, because right then his phone buzzed again. Another message. Same number. "Look outside." Jordan's blood ran cold. He rushed to the window. At first, nothing. Then movement. Across the street, a man in a dark coat, leaning against a lamppost. Face hidden in shadow. Just standing, staring up at their room. Watching. Jordan's instincts kicked in. He grabbed the hotel phone and dialed security. "We're being watched. I need someone outside the building. Now." Clara pulled the kids close. Ezra whispered, "Is it that bad man again?" "No, baby," Clara said, hugging them tightly. "This is someone different." Jordan cursed under his breath and grabbed his laptop. He hacked into the hotel's lobby cam feed, one of the old skills he'd picked up in his street days. His fingers moved fast, and the screen filled with grainy footage of the hotel entrance. The man in the coat was there, clear as day. But when Jordan zoomed in, he froze. It wasn't the man from the courthouse. It was someone else entirely. Older, paler, a scar running down his jawline. And on his wrist, a tattoo Jordan would never forget. A broken chain with a serpent inside. It was him, the man he'd testified against 15 years ago. Reed Barrow, Jordan's hands began to sweat. "How is he out?" he whispered. "He was supposed to be gone for 20." Clara looked at him, confused and scared. "Who is that?" "Someone who has a reason to ruin everything." Security arrived minutes later, but the man was gone, vanished like smoke in the dark. Jordan gave them a description. Security promised to alert police and beef up watch on their floor. But Jordan knew that wouldn't be enough. He stayed up all night, watching over Clara and the kids as they slept. The light from the city outside flickered across their faces. He couldn't sleep because he knew Reed Barrow, and Reed didn't show up just to watch. The next morning, things felt normal again. Or at least they tried to. Jordan booked a new, safer location, a private villa outside the city under a different name. They left before sunrise with security escorts. Clara didn't argue. She could feel the danger too, hanging in the air like smoke. The villa was large, quiet, surrounded by high hedges and electronic gates. There were 3 bedrooms, a small playground in the back, and a long kitchen that smelled like fresh lemons. For a moment, peace settled in. The kids played. Clara made pancakes. Jordan finally allowed himself a small smile. But peace doesn't last forever. That afternoon, Jordan got a call from his head of security. "Sir," the man said, "I just got off a call with the Department of Corrections. Reed Barrow was released 2 months ago on a technicality. No one thought to flag you." Jordan clenched his teeth. "Then why now? Why show up? He's been off the grid since release." "But we did find something. He's been making quiet inquiries about your companies. And something else." "What?" "He's been in contact with Victor Hale." Jordan's blood ran cold. Victor Hale, a corrupt developer Jordan had exposed publicly 5 years ago. The man lost millions in court after Jordan's company sued him for fraud. 2 enemies, working together. Clara noticed Jordan's face change. "Tell me." He explained everything. When he finished, Clara just sat there, silent. Then she said something he didn't expect. "Do you think it's connected?" "To what?" "To me. To the kids. To how fast we were found. What if Reed didn't just stumble on you? What if someone gave him a reason?" Jordan's eyes widened. It made a terrible kind of sense. The custody battle, the quick discovery, the timing of Reed's arrival. "Someone setting this up," he muttered. "But for what?" That night, Jordan went into his private study at the villa and opened a locked drawer. Inside was a leather notebook. He hadn't touched it in years. It was filled with names. People from his past. People who had helped him. And people he had crossed. He flipped through the pages quickly, searching for patterns. That's when he noticed something. A name, circled 3 times in red ink. Tobias Grigg. He had almost forgotten. Grigg was a fixer, a manipulator, a former associate of Reed Barrow. After Reed went to prison, Grigg had vanished from the business world. But not before sending Jordan a message once. "One day you'll owe me. One day I'll collect." Jordan didn't owe him money. He owed him silence. Because Grigg knew the deepest secret of all. A secret Jordan had buried so deep, not even Clara knew it. And if Grigg was working with Reed, if they had teamed up with Victor Hale, then this wasn't just a threat. It was a setup to destroy him. Everything. His fortune. His name. His daughter. He snapped the notebook shut and rushed out of the study. But as he entered the living room, his stomach dropped. The front door was wide open. "Clara," he shouted. No answer. He raced to the children's room. Empty. His hands began to shake. Then he noticed something pinned to the back of the door. A note, written in sharp, messy letters. "Now it's your turn to lose everything. You took from me, so I take from you." Jordan sank to his knees. They were gone. Clara, Ava, Ezra, Maya, gone. And Jordan knew this was only the beginning. Jordan's hands trembled as he held the note. His heart was pounding so loud he couldn't hear anything else. It felt like the walls were closing in. He read the message again, hoping it would change, hoping there was a hidden code or a joke or something. Anything that meant it wasn't real. But it was. Clara and the children were gone. The silence in the house was unbearable. The empty rooms echoed with a hollowness he'd never known, not even in the darkest moments of his past. He pulled out his phone, dialed security. Code red. "They've been taken. Lock down every exit, every road now. Get every camera feed. I want air, land, traffic, Everything scanned within 5 miles of this house. He didn't wait for a reply. He hung up and ran outside, scanning the grounds. The villa's front gate was still shut. No broken glass. No tire marks. No alarms had gone off. That meant whoever did this had inside access. Inside help. Jordan cursed under his breath and stormed back inside, straight to the control room. The villa had a full security system. Cameras, motion detectors, live monitors. He brought up the footage from the last 2 hours. And there it was. 2 men. They entered through the basement, through the storm drain, tunnel hidden behind the back hedge. It had been installed long ago for emergency access, something only his top security team knew about. The footage showed Clara and the kids being led out with blankets over their heads. No violence, no screaming, just silence and speed. One of the men turned slightly as they left. Jordan froze the frame. It was Grigg, older, scarred, still wearing that smug, twisted grin he had the last time Jordan saw him. The second man stayed mostly in the shadows. But his height, his build, Jordan knew it was Reed Barrow. So it was true. They had joined forces, and now they had his family. He barely had time to think when his phone rang again. Unknown number. He picked up. "Jordan," a deep voice said. "Hope you got our little message." It was Grigg. "What do you want?" Jordan snapped. Now, Grigg chuckled. "No need for panic. Your little family's alive. For now. If you touch them..." "Relax," Grigg interrupted. "We're not savages. This isn't about hurting them. This is about balance." "What the hell does that mean?" "It means you have something we want. Several things, actually, but we'll start small." Jordan's fists clenched. "I'm not playing games, Grigg." "Oh, I think you are," Grigg said smoothly. "You just don't know the rules yet. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer a file from your private server. One marked Sentinel. You know the one." Jordan's face went pale. Sentinel was a confidential document. It held information on dozens of high-profile investors, illegal trades, bribes, money laundering cases. It was his insurance policy, one he kept locked deep in encrypted servers only he could access. It was also the file that could bring down half the city's elites. "You're insane," Jordan growled. "You think I'll trade national evidence for my family?" "I think," Grigg said, "that you care more about that little girl than you care about the justice system. Am I wrong?" Jordan said nothing. "Good," Grigg continued. "You have 48 hours. You'll get a second call with instructions." He hung up. Jordan stood in the middle of the control room, mind racing. The walls felt like they were closing in again. Only this time it wasn't fear, it was fury. He'd worked too hard to escape the world men like Grigg and Reed belonged to. He'd clawed his way up from nothing, swearing never to go back. And now, they were trying to drag him down again, through Clara, through the children. And they were using Sentinel as the bait. He had 2 choices: give in and hand over the file, or risk never seeing Clara or Ava again. But there was a third choice: fight back. Jordan's first call wasn't to the police. He didn't trust them, not with Grigg's reach. Instead, he called someone else, a man named Malik. They hadn't spoken in years, not since Jordan went clean, but Malik owed him, deeply, and Malik was still plugged into the city's underground. When Malik picked up, there was a pause. "Jordan Miller," he said. "Didn't think I'd ever hear from you again." "I need your help," Jordan said. There was a long silence on the line. Then, "Whose life is on the line?" "My daughter, and 2 other kids. And Clara." "I'm in." An hour later, Malik arrived in an old, beat-up van. He looked the same, tall, sharp-eyed, with a quiet, deadly confidence. His face hadn't aged, but his eyes were darker than Jordan remembered. They sat in the villa's back room with laptops, burner phones, and a whiteboard Jordan dragged in. Jordan explained everything: Grigg, Reed, the Sentinel file, the threats. Malik listened, then leaned back. "Grigg's been quiet for years," he said. "He only comes out of the shadows when he's building something." "Like what?" "Like a network. Like an empire." "You said Reed's involved. That means muscle. But Grigg's a planner. He doesn't want your money. He wants your power. Your blackmail file? That's leverage." Jordan nodded. "And Clara and the kids?" "Collateral. Pressure. But also," Malik hesitated, "there's something else." "What?" Malik opened a second laptop. and pulled up a file labeled Banshee. Jordan raised an eyebrow. You remember that girl you helped years ago? From a group home that Reed used to run. Sarah? Jordan's voice dropped. Malik nodded. Turns out Reed didn't just run one group home. He ran 3, and Grigg funded them. Dirty homes. Kids vanished. No one ever asked questions. Jordan's mouth went dry. I knew it was bad, he whispered. But not that bad. They think you have proof, Malik said. Even worse, they think Clara might have seen something, or that she's tied to someone who did. Jordan's mind flashed back to something Clara once told him, long ago before their first kiss. She said her sister had disappeared when they were kids. A sister named Naomi, from a foster home. Jordan stood up. Clara's connected to them. Malik nodded slowly. Now you see, this isn't just about revenge, Jordan. It's about secrets, old ones. And now, the past wants to make you bleed. That night, Jordan got the second call. Grigg again. You have the file? He asked. I'm working on it, Jordan lied. Well, let's move things along. Here's your incentive. There was rustling on the line. Then, Ava's voice. Soft. Crying. Daddy. Jordan's heart broke. I'm here, baby, he said, tears running down his cheeks. I'm coming for you, okay? Are you mad? She asked. No, never. I love you. Just hold on. Grigg came back on the line. You have until midnight tomorrow, or Ava sleeps in the dark, forever. The line went dead. Jordan stared at the wall, his fists trembling. Then he turned to Malik. We're getting them back. We're not playing defense anymore. Malik nodded. What's the plan? Jordan narrowed his eyes. First, we leak a decoy file. Make them think they've won. Then we follow the drop and track them back. And once we find their hideout, he grabbed a marker and drew a red X on the map. We burn it down. As they began mapping out the decoy strategy, a silent alarm went off. Someone had breached the villa's motion detectors. Malik sprang up. They both ran to the control room. The cameras showed movement. In the garden, a figure, alone. Then the camera zoomed in, just enough to catch the person's face. It wasn't Grigg. It wasn't Reed. It was the little boy, the same boy from downtown, the one who whispered to Jordan outside the car. He stood in the rain, staring at the camera, then raised his hand and pointed to the north. Jordan and Malik exchanged looks. What the hell? Malik moved toward the door, but before they could step outside, the boy vanished into the night, like he was never there. Jordan stared at the screen. I don't believe in ghosts, he whispered. Malik looked grim. You might have to start, because whatever this was, it had just taken a turn no one could explain. The rain came harder now, pelting the windows of the villa like a warning. Jordan stared at the spot where the boy had stood just moments ago. Malik rewound the footage over and over, slowing it down frame by frame. Same boy, same eyes, same ragged hoodie and worn-out jeans. The same one who'd whispered that cryptic phrase at the start of it all. Millionaire sees a black beggar with 3 children and recognizes her. And now he had returned. Without speaking, without knocking, just a point north. He's leading us, Malik said, or warning us. Either way, he knows something. Jordan grabbed his coat. Then we go north. Malik hesitated. We need a plan, not a chase. There's no time, Jordan snapped. They have Ava. If we wait, they'll disappear again. Malik looked at him and finally nodded. I'll drive. You focus. The north side of the city wasn't like the polished glass towers Jordan was used to. It was a maze of abandoned factories, forgotten railroads, and warehouses no one asked questions about. It smelled like rust and damp concrete. Jordan sat in the front passenger seat, his fingers clenched around a burner phone, waiting for Grigg's next call. Ava's voice haunted him. Daddy, are you mad? He wasn't mad. He was scared and furious. They drove for 30 minutes before Malik slowed the van beside an old, boarded-up textile factory. Its windows were shattered. The rooftops sagged like a broken back. This is where he pointed, Malik said, checking the GPS old place. No power. No ownership record in over a decade. Jordan stared at it. Something about the building pulled at him, as if part of him had been here before. They parked a block away and approached on foot, quiet, crouched, moving like shadows. Malik pulled a compact drone from his jacket and launched it. The feed came in on a small screen. Heat signatures, he murmured. 3 adults. One child. No, wait. Two. He turned the screen so Jordan could see. It was grainy, fuzzy, but unmistakable. Ava and Clara, bound. Inside, Jordan's blood began to boil. Malik pointed. There's a side door. Locked, but not reinforced. Give me 5 minutes, I'll... No. Jordan interrupted, already moving. We go now. They circled to the side, crouched behind rusted steel drums. The side door was chained shut, but Jordan pulled a crowbar from Malik's kit and jammed it into the lock. One hard snap, and it cracked open. Inside, it was pitch black. Smelled like mold and motor oil. The air was heavy, like it hadn't been breathed in years. They crept down a narrow hallway, past old machinery and creaking floors. Voices echoed ahead. Low, muffled, angry. Jordan raised a finger. He could hear them clearly now. Grig's voice. Taunting. She thinks you're coming, Jordan. She still believes you're some kind of hero. Then Reed's growl. We should have ended this yesterday. Another voice. Unfamiliar. Female. Cold. No. Let him bring the file. Then we burn them all. Jordan's heart skipped. There was a third player. A woman. He turned to Malik and mouthed, We move on my count. Malik nodded, hand on his stun gun. 3-2. Suddenly, the door ahead swung open, and one of Grig's men stepped out. They didn't hesitate. Malik dropped him with a blow to the temple. Jordan grabbed the key card from his belt and rushed inside. The scene hit him like a hammer. Clara, tied to a chair. Face bruised. Clothes dirty, but alive. Ava, asleep in a crate lined with blankets. Ezra and Maya nowhere in sight. Grig stood behind Clara, knife in hand. Reed sat casually on an old desk, cleaning a pistol. And the woman, tall, dark hair, eyes sharp as glass, turned slowly. Well, she said, smiling. The hero arrives. Jordan stepped forward. Let them go. Grig laughed. I told you he'd come. Reed stood up. Where's the file? Jordan held up a flash drive. Right here. Slide it over, the woman said. Jordan didn't move. Where are the other 2 kids? They're safe, Grig replied. For now, if you do what you're told. Jordan slowly placed the flash drive on the floor and kicked it forward. The woman picked it up and handed it to Grig. He plugged it into a laptop, and the screen lit up. Lines of code. Encrypted folders. But something was off. Jordan's lips twitched. Go ahead, he said. Open it. Grig clicked a folder titled Sentinel. Files popped up. Dozens. Names. Details. Everything. The woman leaned in. Is it real? She asked. Grig scanned quickly. It's all here. Jordan tilted his head. Funny thing about those files. Everyone looked at him. They're real, yeah, but also tagged. Grig froze. What do you mean tagged? GPS trackers. You open them, and every intelligence agency I'm tied to gets pinged. The woman stepped back. Reed cursed. Grig's hand shook. Jordan stepped forward, and right about now, boom, the wall behind them exploded inward. Malik burst through the smoke with 3 tactical officers. Private security Jordan had been quietly funding for years. They moved fast. Grig went down screaming. Reed pulled the gun, but Malik shot first, straight to the shoulder. He dropped with a roar of pain. The woman tried to run. Jordan tackled her to the ground. Within seconds, the room was cleared. Clara wept as Jordan untied her. He picked up Ava, cradled her against his chest. I told you I'd come. She clung to him like her life depended on it. Clara held him, sobbing. I thought I'd never see you again. You never will lose me again, he whispered. But as the tactical team secured the scene, one officer called out. We got 2 kids missing. They're not here. Jordan froze. Malik's face went grim, and Clara began to shake. Ezra and Maya, she whispered. They said they were taking them somewhere else. A place called the drop site. Jordan turned to Grig, who lay on the floor, bleeding. Where is it? Grig only smiled through bloodied teeth. You think this is over? You haven't even started. And then, heave it down. Hard. His body jolted. Foam bubbled at his mouth. He had taken a capsule. Jordan fell to his knees, shaking him, but it was too late. Grig was dead, and the last 2 children were still missing. The warehouse stank of smoke, cordite, and fear. Jordan knelt beside Grig's twitching body, but it was too late. The poison capsule had already done its job. The man who had held all the answers was gone. Permanently. Clara sat on the floor, cradling Ava, whispering to her over and over, "You're safe, baby. You're safe now." But her other children weren't. Ezra and Maya were still out there. And time was running out. Jordan stood slowly, fists clenched. Malik was already barking orders to the security team, demanding phone traces, surveillance loops, and anything they could squeeze from the computers Grigg had touched. The laptop Grigg had used to access the decoy Sentinel file lay on the desk, still open. Jordan grabbed it and scanned the recent activity. A folder caught his eye. Drop_set_yes. He clicked. Encrypted. Of course. But Malik was faster. He connected his own drive, ran a decryption algorithm, and within seconds, a set of GPS coordinates popped up. Jordan leaned over the screen. It pointed to a place outside the city limits. A stretch of forest land. No roads. No buildings. Just wilderness. "The drop site," Jordan murmured. "What is it?" Clara asked, eyes wide. Jordan looked at Malik. And Malik, face tense, said something that made Clara cover Ava's ears. "It's a trafficking handoff zone." Clara's face went pale. Jordan felt the rage rise inside him again, but he stayed calm. For her. For the kids. How far? 2 hours by car. Maybe less if we cut through old service roads. Jordan was already moving. "We go now." Clara stood too. "I'm coming." Jordan shook his head. "No. Stay here. Protect Ava. She's already scared," Clara snapped. "You think I'm letting you go off without me while my babies are out there?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Then we gear up." They left in 2 unmarked SUVs. Malik drove one, Jordan the other. Clara sat beside him, staring straight ahead, silent. Behind them, 2 security officers, former special ops, checked their rifles and earpieces. Jordan hadn't wanted it to come to this, but it had. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still heavy with storm clouds. The road narrowed as they drove north, leaving the city behind, trading concrete and steel for trees and gravel. It was nearly dark when they pulled up near the coordinates. They killed the engines. Silence. The forest around them was thick and damp. Mosquitoes buzzed. Wind howled through trees like whispers. Jordan turned to Clara. "You sure you're okay to do this?" She looked at him with a fire he hadn't seen since the day they first met. "I was a mother before I was scared. Let's go." They moved through the trees in a tight formation. Malik led the way with a tracker, sweeping for thermal signals. And then he stopped.